Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Chef Girl RD. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this homemade ham and bean soup, and we're going to be making it right in the Ninja Foodi. Alright, so to get started, I have a ham bone here from my Easter ham. It was about a 12-pound ham, and I just cut all the good stuff off, and I saved my bone. I put it in the fridge in a Ziploc bag. And I took a couple of big chunks too, so if you can see that, I'm gonna boil everything. So this is what I got. Now the next thing I did was added 14 cups of water to my Ninja Foodi base pot. And I know 14 cups seems like a lot, because it is, but I'm gonna use it all. So normally I'll make this soup in a big pot, and I make a very large quantity. So because I'm using the Foodi and I've never made this soup in the Foodi, I'm going to stick with the 14 cups and see how it works. All right, so now that my water's all set, I'm just going to take out my ham bone. And I'm going to drop it right in. Well, I'm not going to drop it, but you know what I mean. Well, I kind of dropped it. And I'm just going to drop in these extra little pieces too. So that looks good. So it raised the water level just a little bit, but we're still under the max for pressure. So we'll just apply that pressure cooking lid. You want to make sure you seal. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the Foodi on. Under pressure, we're gonna change our time. We're gonna go 35 minutes. Normally, if I do this on the stove, I boil the bone for a good hour. But we're gonna do 35 minutes and see how that works. We're just gonna hit start. All right, so while that's heating up, I can go ahead and show you what I'm gonna be using to make this soup today. So for my pasta, I'm gonna be using this, it's Ditalini. You could certainly use any pasta you want, but I definitely think this is the best one for this soup. And to this broth, I'm gonna be adding a can of tomato soup and some tomato paste. So this is a tomato-based soup. I know there's a lot of different ham and bean soups out there, but this is a family recipe. My mother made it this way, I make it this way, so that's the way I'm doing it. You can certainly switch it up if there's anything in here that you didn't like, or if you wanted to add something additional. I also used these cannellini beans. Again, beans are optional to what you like, but I've never made it any other way. I'm also gonna chop up 2 medium-sized onions here. And for my seasonings, I'm going to be using an Italian seasoning, some garlic powder, onion powder, pepper. We're not going to do salt because it's ham. And I'm going to probably use a little bit of fresh parsley. This is optional, you don't have to. And that's it. That's all we're going to need today for this soup. Not too many ingredients. It's pretty basic, but it's amazing. You're going to love it. So what I'll do now is go ahead and prep my parsley. I'm going to prep my onions. I'll probably open up these cans and just get everything ready. All right, so my onions are all chopped, and that ended up being about 1 1/4 cup. Got my parsley here. That's about, looks like it's about 3 tablespoons or so. All right, so the Foodi has hit full pressure. That took about 20 minutes, so it took a little bit of a long time. Probably because all the water we use, but that's perfectly fine. So now we're just going to wait, let that count down 35 minutes, and we will follow up with a natural release for about 10 minutes. All right, so 35 minutes is up, and I'm going to let this natural release for 10 minutes. So once that hits 10 minutes, I will just release whatever remaining steam is in there, and we'll go from there. All right, so we've been natural releasing for 10 minutes. So we'll just go ahead and quick release now. All right, let's have a look. Oof, that looks so good. And it smells amazing. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna try to fish out this ham bone, and all I did was set a cutting board with a cookie rack and a paper towel in between the two, and I'm just going to Take this out. Ooh, give it a good shake. And I'm just gonna set it on here. And you just wanna fish out any additional chunks that you have left in there. All right, and I think I'm just gonna scrape some of this little flavor down into the broth all around the pot. And this is what we got. We got a nice ham bone broth. All right. And now we're just gonna turn the Foodi back on. And we're gonna go over to the Sear saute on high and hit start. All right, so I'm gonna give my ham bone some time to cool off. And in the meantime, I'm going to take my tomato paste and I'm gonna add that right into my broth. And we're just gonna whisk that up just to break it up. All right, and now I'm going to add my tomato soup. Now, I always add tomato soup and tomato paste, but you could certainly use just tomato soup, or you could just use 2 cans of tomato paste. I like the combination between the two. And next, I'm just going to drop in my chopped onions and give those a chance to cook. And now I'm going to take my cannellini beans. I've drained the can with the liquid, took that out, and I'm going to toss in my beans. And we'll just give this a nice stir. And now I'm just going to add a teaspoon of some garlic powder and a teaspoon of onion powder, some black pepper to taste, about 1.5 teaspoons of some Italian seasoning, and some fresh parsley. This is optional. And we'll give that a nice mix. Oh, this smells amazing. I don't even have the ham in there yet. Now at this point, you can go ahead and taste some of your broth. And if you need to tweak some of the seasonings, you can add anything else that you want. But I think this is perfect just the way it is. Now while my soup is simmering away in the Foodi, I'm gonna come back over to my ham. And I'm just gonna start picking away at all the good pieces. I'm gonna try to do away with any fat that I see. You wanna keep some of it because it gives some good flavor, but I don't go too crazy with the fat. I like to keep the soup pretty lean. So I'm just gonna keep all your good pieces, and I'll put the fatty pieces in a little bowl, or you can push it off to the side. And the good pieces, we're just gonna chop up. Into whatever size chunks that you want. And we'll just put that in a bowl as well. And it just breaks apart with your hands too. So you have a big chunk, you can just break it up. We're just gonna keep going with that ham. All right, so once this starts coming to a boil like that, I'm going to reduce the heat to a low. All right, so at this point, we haven't got much of anything left over. And this is how much ham. This looks like about 2 cups. So at this point, you can either use just what you have, or I'm gonna actually use some leftover from the fridge as well. This was off my spiral ham, so I like a lot of ham in my soup. And I'm gonna throw a little extra in. And sometimes when I make this, well, pretty much every time, I have a little guest here waiting for me to drop anything. You want to say hi? Say hi. Right, let me just give her a little piece. Go ahead. Good girl. All right, back to the basics. And just don't forget to give a couple stirs in between while you're cutting up your ham. And same thing here. You just want to go ahead and cut this into chunks and pieces and take off any of that skin that you don't want. And to be honest, you could even toss this right in your food processor just to chop it up, make life a little easier. All right, so this is good enough. It's a good amount of ham here. I don't want to do too much because we got a full pot. So now I'm just going to dump in my ham into my soup. You want to go slow and carefully because of the splatter. All right. Give a mix. Yum. All right, so for our very last part, we have our pasta, and this was 3 cups in one box. So I actually am only using 2 cups, and we're gonna put that right in and give this a nice mix. So the reason I used a lot of broth is because this pasta absorbs a lot of it, and it will tend to thicken. So just switch to my soup ladle just to keep stirring. So it's going to take a good 15 to 20 minutes for that pasta to cook. I'm going to stay on the low heat, but if you wanted to speed up the process, you could certainly bump up the heat. I'm in no hurry, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to let this sit for the next 15 to 20 minutes. I'm going to continue to stir this, and over time, we're going to see that pasta start to cook. When the pasta is fully cooked, then your soup is done. All right, guys, I'm back. It's been about 24 minutes, and let's take a look. Doesn't that look good? So the longer you let this sit, the more your pasta is going to absorb that liquid and the fatter it's going to get. So just keep that in mind if you want to take it off the heat sooner than later. But for now, we're just gonna put some of this in a bowl. I mean, look at that. Doesn't that look great? And it does thicken right up. So as much as you may have thought I had a lot of broth at the beginning, it definitely doesn't end up that way. All right, so here it is. Homemade ham and bean soup. This stuff is amazing, guys. You have to try it, and I really hope you love it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So good. Now, obviously, I said I've always made this on the stove. I've never made it in the Foodi. Sometimes I just like to use the stove, and this is one of those times. But the way that broth came out with pressure cooking versus on the stove, I'll probably never make this on the stove again, honestly. So there you have it. Delicious ham and bean soup. So guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, click that like button and be sure to subscribe so you can see more videos like this. Bon appetit, guys.